The U.S. government conducts a catastrophic chemical weapons attack on the American populace to reset society. The surviving population of America divides into two groups. The gangs control territory and are named the Gamblers, the Sheets, the Plowboys, the Nailers, and the Cherries. The domestics are those unaffiliated with the gangs and wish to live in peace rather than give in to violence. Mark is packing essentials in the car as he and Nina, his wife, are traveling to Nina's parents in Milwaukee while his friend reminds him of the dangers he may face. The car breaks down, so Mark tries his best to fix it in an abandoned garage. 3 armed men enter the garage but are unaware that they are in another room. Mark grabs his gun and tells Nina to open the car door for him, which produces a squeaky noise. The men cautiously walk towards the room, but a gang of Sheets burst in a pickup, killing the men in seconds. Mark and Nina get into the car, which unfortunately is unable to start. The gang of Sheets spots them even so they drive away safely. Mark and Nina decide to stay at a home along the way for the night. Mark cautiously checks every corner of the house while Nina gathers supplies. Mark heads to the upper level to discover a bloodied room containing a mutilated couple. Nina cannot stand the sight of it and heads to the car to radio her parents in Milwaukee but does not get a response. Mark drags the mutilated couple out of the house and carries a luggage and toolbox to the house. Mark and Nina spend the night at the upper level where Mark fills in his map before going to sleep, with Nina not knowing that a man is outside monitoring them. Next morning, a gang of Nailers capture a man and his friend and threaten the men with a gun to extract information on where they can catch a woman. The men exposes where Nina and Mark are staying, but he and his friend still get killed. Later, they realizes the gang of Nailers is approaching their house, so Nina hide in the attic wearing a headphone. Mark gets hold of a screwdriver and heads to the upper level to swiftly kill a Nailer in the head. Next, he heads to the ground level and gets into fight with Nailer Dean, managing to kill him. Mark and Nina leave the house not knowing that someone is spying on them. On the road, they listen to a radio that a woman from the Cherry Gang is saving women and killing anyone that stops her. Mark and Nina stop by supermarket, but inside they get ambushed by a masked man. The masked man reveals himself and introduces himself as Nathan, as well as telling them that he has been observing them. Suddenly, they hear a vehicle outside of the supermarket and hide behind a shelf. A gang of Nailers enter but are swiftly shot down by Steven, Nathan's son, who was hiding behind a table. Nathan manages to convince Mark and Nina to head to his house for dinner and then attaches Mark's car to his tow truck. They almost leave the compound but is stopped by the Plowboys gang. Jim, the leader of the Plowboys gang, informs Nathan that they are patrolling the neighborhood to hunt the Gambler gang. A woman called Betsy, who was mentioned on the radio, is tied to the seat of the Plowboys truck, and Jim even takes interest in Nina. Steven aims his gun at Jim, which results in Jim agreeing with Nathan to let Nathan's car to pass. Unbeknownst to Mark and Nina, an injured Nailer Dean is spying on them. Back at Nathan's house, they have dinner together with Nathan's family. Tension between Nina and Mark while they talk about their life is clear. Even so, Nathan and his wife dances to a romantic music. After the dinner, Mark finds out that Nathan used human flesh for the meal and throws up. Mark is about to get Nina and leave Nathan's house, but Nathan threatens to kill him gruesomely as Nathan wants Nina to be friends with his wife. Suddenly, Dean enters the house holding Nathan's daughter hostage. Nathan agrees to let Dean kill Mark and Nina as long as Dean releases his daughter. As Dean releases his daughter, Steven sneakily cuts Dean's ankle, which causes Dean to miss his first shot and fall to the ground. Dean's second shot lands on Nathan's wife, then Steven starts stabbing Dean while he grabs hold of his gun. Outside, they hear gunshots and take Nathan's car to escape. Back on the road, Nina tells Mark that she cannot cope with the stress of being in near-death situations and gets into an argument with Mark. A gambler spots them and spin a wheel which lands on a skull, meaning that Sniper has to open fire. The bullet hits Nina in the shoulder, so Mark has to turn back. Meanwhile, an enraged Nathan calls Jim to inform him that he can capture Nina. Excited, Jim heads to gather his gang to find them all dead. Suddenly, Betsy hits him from behind with a metal stick and proceeds to steal an automatic gun. Betsy breaks the lock to free the girls captured by the Plowboys gang and leave in a police car. Later, Betsy is annoyed by noises from Jim in the trunk, so she stops the car and shoots him in the leg. Then, she notices someone in the woods and decides to track the person down. The next day, Nina wakes up with her wound patched up and finds a note from Mark stating he went to find food. Nina is about to leave by the door but sees a note stating that it is booby trapped, so she leaves by the window. She heads to the garage and finds a working car. Nina heads back to the house to pack her items, but she finds a note from Mark telling her to listen to music. Another note tells that the record is her favorite. The final note from Mark tells her to give their marriage another chance. Nina feels guilty and stays to dance to her favorite music while drinking heavily. Betsy watches her until she takes a break, then Betsy returns to the car to kill Jim. Meanwhile, Mark enters an abandoned house and finds two prisoners with bags on their heads. When he removes the bags, he is shocked to see Nathan and Stephen. Suddenly, a madman called William ambushes him with a gun and forces Mark to drop his gun. William explains he enjoys watching ultraviolence, so he brings out his slave Bill the Big to fight till death with Mark. William threatens to kill Nathan and Stephen if Mark does not fight. Mark warms up and kicks Bill in the groin, but it has little effect on Bill the Big. Mark's punch gets blocked and Bill punches him, causing him to fall. Bill continues to throw Mark around and holds him in a chokehold. Mark bites Bill's arm, causing him to throw Mark towards William, making him fall. This gives Mark the chance to grab William's gun and kill him. Mark releases Nathan and Stephen and even Bill, and they head separate ways. Mark arrives back at the cabin and sees Nina sleeping on the couch. He carries her to the bed and proceeds to outside to practice his shooting. When Nina wakes up, she sees Mark practicing shooting and tells him to teach her how to shoot. While they are busy, Betsy sneaks into the cabin and finds Nina's wedding ring. After the shooting practice, Nina brings Mark to the garage where she shows him a car he used to have. They remember the good times they had with this car and start kissing passionately at the back seat. However, they get captured by the gamblers as it is their car. They capture them and spin a wheel to decide what to do with them. It lands on a spade, so they are thrown into cages and taken to the gamblers' headquarters at a hotel. The hotel is in a mess with people fighting everywhere. They are brought to a receptionist where he learns that they are a couple and assign them to the Snake Eyes suite. The audience start placing their bets and Mark and Nina gets their hands drilled with a glove to play a game of Russian roulette. The host loads their guns with 1 bullet each and informs them if they do not shoot, 2 bullets will be added to the guns. If they survive 6 rounds, they will be allowed to leave. Mark tells Nina to shoot, but Nina negotiates with the host that she wants 3 more bullets in Mark's gun in exchange that they only have to survive 2 rounds. The host agrees and the game begins. The gamblers count down and both guns are fired, but nobody gets hurt. On the second round, Mark gets shot in the shoulder. Suddenly, gambler Wanda refuses to pay up money to another gambler when she loses the bet and start beating her up. Nina breaks free, grabs a gun from the host and shoots the host of their torturous game. She makes her and Mark's escape, pointing the gun at the gamblers while making their way out. She finally kills the host and steals a car where they are spotted by 2 snipers who are about to shoot them. Betsy kills them with a sniper rifle and they make it out alive. They finally make it to her parents' house where Mark is lying on a bed with his wound already treated. Nina learns from neighbors that her mother killed herself to be with her father who died. Nina goes to talk to an injured Mark and tell him that she is devastated by her parents' death but now accepts Mark as her husband. Nina learns from her neighbors that they have set up car barricades, have snipers on rotation and booby traps to keep the neighborhood safe. Meanwhile, Betsy sneaks into a house in the neighborhood, and watches a family head to Nina's parents' house. They offer Nina food they made, and it is revealed that Betsy stole Nina's wedding ring. Nina grows suspicious of Phil, a family friend neighbor, after overhearing him communicate over radio. Meanwhile, Mark discovers Nina's father's prized Wildy Hunter pistol has been stolen. It is revealed that Phil sold out the couple to the gamblers, as the gang have caught up with them to the neighborhood. Nina brings their neighbor's daughter back into their house for safety while she grabs her gun to prepare to fight. Betsy gets into position and gets her automatic machine gun ready. When the gamblers exit their vehicles, Nina manages to kill 2 gamblers, which draws their attention at her. Betsy uses the chance to kill many gamblers while Nina repositions and reloads her gun. A gambler appears behind Nina ready to shoot her, but Mark kills the gambler, saving her life. Meanwhile, in Nina's house, Mark gets strangled by a gambler when chasing after the neighbor's daughter. He manages to stab him in the eye using the horn on the mask before killing him. Betsy is revealed to be critically injured during the fight with the gamblers. The remaining 2 plowmen join the fight, killing gamblers in their path of revenge on Betsy. Meanwhile, Nina hurriedly sets up the booby trap her neighbor showed her and manages to overturn the truck. In the end, the plowmen and most of the gamblers are killed. Betsy enters Nina's house to return Nina's wedding ring to Mark that she stole from the cabin, remarking, "for her," before being fatally shot by Wanda. Just as she about to kill Mark, Nina shoots her dead, leaving Mark shocked. Entering Phil's house intending to kill him, Nina discovers bloody child-sized footprints headed in the direction of the front door. The footprints are shown to originate from Phil, who is revealed to be dead, having suffered several stab wounds to the abdomen. She finds a gambler tattoo under his arm sleeve, confirming his secret allegiance to the gang. Nina also finds her father's stolen Wildy pistol at the house. When she steps out of Phil's house, she sees that her neighbor's daughter has her hands and feet covered in blood, confirming the existence of the rumored gang of young killers that Nathan had mentioned earlier. Back at Nina's parents' house, Nina hands Mark her father's Wildy Hunter pistol, and in return he put the wedding ring back on her finger. Then they pack up and leave in search of a new home. A final radio broadcast with Crazy Al informs the other gangs about Nina and Mark eliminating the gamblers in Milwaukee and warns them not to disturb them. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe.